What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of HR Heretics. So, Arnnon, you are at Snowflake. I think it's like one of these generational companies. Like Sluman is talked about everywhere. Obviously, he's not there anymore. But what is it like being on the executive team at one of these generational companies?
We have an opportunity, and I'm so proud to be able to work with Sridhar and fulfill his vision about where we're going as an organization. It really is about how to redefine the space, not only from an AI data space, but also from a people space internally, to really think about we can be as creative as possible, as creative as we want. There's no limitations into how we actually build out a people function here. So I'm really excited to get that done.
Yeah. And before that, which we'll come back to Snowflake in a bit, but you were the CHRO at Tesla for 10 years, right?
Yeah, about 8 years. About 8 years. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
But still,
what,
still a good time. Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time to work with Elon. What was that like?
You know, it really made me realize how important a few things were. The first one was about open, unfiltered communication, like really go to the people you need to go to get answers done, problem solved. Just really go to anybody you want in the organization. Don't worry about hierarchy, right? And the second was around that the people team had to be as creative and innovative as anyone else in the company. So really pushed the boundaries of how we thought about the people function. And then the third one is looking at kind of, basically being creative in the way that we're focused and looking at data analytics as a way to really create good insights into the company. So working with, and I've done this multiple times, working with multiple engineering executives, that data and analytics and people analytics really help create insights that you can help lead the function and lead the business.
Yeah. It must be, he's obviously brilliant. It must be incredible to work with, someone that smart. And I think if I was in the audience right now, Nolan, I'd probably be wondering, that is so cool. And you mentioned kind of creative thinking on the people team and innovative. What are some of the things that he pushed you to do at Tesla or you guys did that would fall under that?
Well, just like I'm doing here at Snowflake, it's kind of the same theme, right? The idea is you build a good foundational capability in analytics, as I mentioned before. You think about people analytics and data analytics, and you measure everything. You just think about how you can drive insights through all the touch points that people have within the company. So that way you can make really good decisions on the future of the organization. The second is how to align the people function to the North Star of the company and to make sure that you follow the vision. Like you don't do things that are kind of on the side that don't quite make sense, but you want your user experience, you want the employee experience to be very consistent. And in all my work with these amazing CEOs, it's about creating an organization that helps the company fulfill its mission and really be focused on that North Star.
So, or not, again, you're at Snowflake now. So how did you end up there? Like, what's that story?
Well, I've been here about a year, and Sridhar was looking for someone to come in and really reinvent the way that the people operates. And there's so much amazing things here in terms of AI capability and analytics and data, which I said that was like core to what I've learned how to leverage, and to really rethink the way that you can optimize and self-actualize the function. So I've been working really hard to really look across the organization. How can we build something truly iconic here and help the company enable itself, help the company find the right talent, how the company build a learning organization, how the company build a great culture, all these components to help drive towards being, our North Star and our mission of supplying organizations with data and AI and making them very enabled.
Yeah, so we're basically in November, which is unbelievable, of 2025. I'm assuming you, like everybody else, is either done with or in the middle of 2026 planning. How are you thinking about like your mandate for 26 and what is your team going to focus on?
We're very focused on how can we leverage all of the capabilities in the AI infrastructure that we have here. And we set up a three-prong approach. to how we're going to deliver a lot of our products to the organization. The first prong is about anything repetitive, we will automate with AI. So anything repetitive, we automate. Anything that's creative, we'll augment and with AI, but you still have the human component making the final decision. And then anything that's judgment or emotional or intelligence, it's solely done with people. So we kind of created these three categories. And then we said to, basically to our own team, we're going to create a set of products, a set of capabilities, a set of processes that will align all of our initiatives to one of those three important prongs to our model and develop AI capability to support each of them.
That's a really interesting framework that I have not heard nor considered. So repetitive, creative, and then judgment.
Right.
So let's go into each one. So for repetitive, the story I tell myself when I hear that is there's a lot of stuff that I do every day that is actually better done or augmented with AI, and it could speed me up in a significant way. These are like the workflows of a company, like how people get work done, that sort of a thing. How do you guys think about prioritizing and then actually going and building solutions?
The one great thing is that we can move fast here. So we can put something on a napkin, design on a whiteboard, and then really within 2 days, we can have a prototype developed. So we can move really, really fast. The first example is around our job descriptions. I estimated it takes at least 2 hours if we're really focused and you want to get it out the door. We can get it done in 5 to 15 minutes. And if you have 1,000 job descriptions, you're talking about a year savings of a person hour right off the bat. The second I want to mention is during the interview process. So one of the ways I said, let's have our AI tool that's on every video call transcribe and summarize the feedback so we can immediately load it into our applicant tracking system. And we realize it saves over 7,000 hours of person time, right? Just by doing that, or write your notes. And also, like the recruiters and the hiring managers can have this thoughtful conversation. They actually can look at the person and connect. Look at the person and say, I'm glad that I'm interviewing you today. I'm, making that connection.
Yeah, 100%. And then, on that too, I'm assuming your team then, for example, on the interview note stuff, like for me, I do exec search and I'm spending a lot of time in Metaview on the back end, like really coming up with templates, because the templates is like, if you think about it, is like the tool is amazing at capturing everything that happened, but then to like really get you, it'll get you to like 70%. But if you have a really good template, like off the shelf, that gets you to like 90%. And then it's like 5 minutes of like, yep, boop, boop, boop. This is my recommendation, done, and ship it. I'm assuming like your team is like spending a lot of time on the back end, making sure that stuff is production ready for the rest of the employees. Yeah.
We make sure that when we roll something out, it's well thought through. And so we have, whether it's pre-made interview questions to help the manager think through what they're supposed to be doing, and having different interview questions per interviewer so we can cover a more 360 on the candidate, whether we have templates of what to follow. Yeah, we have that all laid out so that, like you said, that's a big portion of the step there. And then the notes then are organized based on that template and come back into the system. And you just have this really amazing portfolio of information on the candidate and can make a really good decision, right? Then you can read it, read through it, have discussions, have a hiring committee, and then talk through the candidate.
So going back to your framework, you said creative and judgment were the other prongs.
Yeah.
What are examples of like how you're thinking about like that creative prong, and how are you guys providing leverage there?
Yeah. So I'll give a great example. Again, we're rolling stuff out that is meaningful and not scary and super helpful at the onset. So a couple of good examples is we did this all-employee survey, and we had 9,000 comments that came in. Like people wrote a tremendous amount of information. So we used our AI tools to consolidate all that information, find the themes, build the summaries. It would have taken us 2 weeks to do a content analysis, but it did it in seconds. And then we were able to look at all the data and then make judgment calls after that, or make a call about what we want to focus on as a company for the next year, based on the survey results. So that's where it took all that great data, And then we applied a little bit of the creative, like here's how we're going to use this data and move forward with it. A second one that we use on the creative side is we piloted in 2 organizations and rolling out across the company a mentorship program. It's a peer-to-peer mentorship program. And the way it works is that mentors put in their data into our Cortex AI. They type in their profile and what they're good at. And then the mentees, the people who love to get coaching internally, put in their information, and we have this curated list of questions. And then the AI tool then matches them on the back end through all these variables. We're refining that matching process to optimize that relationship so they can have a really good session, multiple sessions to do coaching. So we curated the structure, the format. We relied on the tools to actually put it all together. So those are 2 great examples of how we use the tools. We still, on the creative side, still own the program, but it helps us like accelerate the work that we're doing. People love it. I mean, it's so well done, and we just love this peer-to-peer, and more people are joining. It's just a really great way to leverage the AI tools, right? And then if I can just jump on the more the judgment side.
Please, it's my next question.
We basically say, look, when it comes to performance reviews or promotions or talking to your employee around their career goals, we want that to stay human, because all that is really about the connection. All that is about that relationship with the manager and themselves. And so giving a performance review, talking to them about promotion, talking to them about growth, we don't want this to feel automated. We don't want this to feel disconnected, like someone, like a bot is telling them how to do their career. It's a person who knows and can give great advice. We want to keep that more purist. So that's how we think about it, and those are the models, and those are some examples that we use on each one.
Hey everyone, we'll be right back in a moment after a word from our sponsors. AI changes how work gets done. Recruiting is no exception. Metaview is the AI platform purpose-built for recruiting. If you're looking to level up your AI adoption and see real impact from intake to offer, it's a no-brainer. Metaview's suite of AI agents works for you at every stage of the hiring process. Their platform powers instant job post creation, AI-powered candidate Q&A, insights on pipeline performance, compensation, and so much more. I've seen firsthand how tough it can be to extract consistently high-quality data from candidate conversations. I've been in candidate debriefs where interviewers told us about their feelings instead of what actually happened in the interview. And I've seen VPs and CEOs block hires because they didn't learn anything from skeleton scorecards. Metaview changes all of that. For every candidate in every pipeline, bring radical efficiency and precision to your hiring process with perfect data from every conversation. Metaview covers all of your compliance needs, works with all of your existing tools, and takes less than 3 minutes to set up. Join talent leaders at more than 3,000 elite companies like Brex, Deel, 11 Labs, and Quora, and check out Metaview. Just head over to metaview.ai/heretics to talk to one of Metaview's product experts or get started for free. You'll be up, running, and AI-enabled in minutes.
Those are great examples. So basically what you're saying on the judgment piece, just to make sure that I heard you, is that in the delivery, right, of feedback, or in the delivery of a performance review, or in the delivery of a comp change, that's always going to be human. Totally agree.
Yes.
What about the inputs? Because I feel like some of the inputs, I don't think it's ever going to be all machine. But I do feel like the machine can start to call out some of the blind spots that managers and leaders might have. Are you guys thinking about that?
The way I think about it is I want the managers to really engage and do the work around how their teams and individuals on their team should grow and develop and get feedback. So I don't want to give them a pass on that. I want to make sure that they're the ones who are making the calls, they're thinking it through. And the whole idea, if you look at this in all those 3 kind of categories in more of a holistic, if we can take time off of people's plates by doing like the job descriptions, doing all these other things, if we can take time of analyzing all these questions, it gives them the time then to focus and invest in that relationship with that person, that one-to-one, saying, I'm the one who made this call. I did not relinquish it to any bot, anything that had to do, it's me to you talking about how we can be better together. And I just want to preserve that. I don't want to lose that magic, because then, building connections in a company, as we all know, because we're all professionals in this field, is so important. When a person feels a sense of belonging, they feel a connection to their manager, they feel a connection to the company and to the mission and to the vision, they're there. I mean, they're engaged. And if we break that bond, it's going to really injure and jeopardize, I think, that relationship. So I'm just trying to get everything else off the plate enough so they can spend time investing in the person.
Yeah. And you said, preserving that, Arnnon, it's actually, to your earlier points, which were great, it's making more time for that. I keep hearing, well, my job's going to go away if this or this or that. It's like, actually, there's so much more to do over and beyond the fairway of the lift that we all dog paddle and survive every day. So it's creating more space for things that we always have on the delight list, the nice to have, that would be great to do list becomes the job.
But I'm in agreement. I mean, that's the magic of this, where all the stuff we wish we could do as a leader, all the stuff we could do as a manager, as an employee, as a colleague in the company, now you're able to all this other list that's on the side of things that if I just had time, I could really optimize this role, I could make it better, I could innovate. Now it's time. So that's exactly the message I'm trying to get across the organization. We're giving you time to build and do meaningful work.
Yeah.
Right? So I love the way you're thinking about it, because I'm totally aligned with that.
Yeah. I just talked to someone an hour ago, and this is just a tactical example, but I was like, that's what this is. It's a bunch of tactical examples all wrapped together, and he had like 150, comp changes or whatever, a sheet, a letter. He's like, I did it in like less than an hour watching football using Gemini. All the letters are done, and I actually spent my time like thinking about what the decision was, the context, the person, the comp range, the philosophy, and I was able to put together talking points around the why behind this change versus use all my time to document the damn change. And it was like, that's a re-recruitment conversation now, not I spent 2 days doing all these silly letters just communicate something.
Yeah, so I'm in alignment with that, Kelly. But isn't it like a yes, and AI can help us like cover blind spots here. So again, I don't think it's like machine making decision, but I think it's like I don't know, like I like to have, like think about HR traditionally has been this way, which is the business will go through, like if we're talking about comp, the business will go through, they will allocate comp for their team if we give them discretion. And then the HRBP will be like, I don't know about this one. Like, don't we see AI filling in more of that role? Like, I think that's coming for sure. Do you think that's coming, Kelly?
But how? That's totally different though than what I was talking about, right? I mean, of course that's coming. I think.
Yeah. Yes, and.
Yes, and yes, I would agree. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, at some point, the question is, will AI be able to do all these things, right? That is the question. At some point, it's like, when do I show up as a bot? And you can actually have this very in-depth re-recruitment, highly contextualized and individualized conversation. That's kind of where my mind goes. But I think we're
So Arnnon, I'll give you an example that I've been thinking about recently. So, do you guys do calibrations?
But we have calibration sessions, yes.
Okay. So what I've been thinking about recently is, in the era of everything is being recorded, I can very much imagine there's, some AI recorder, probably the same one you're using in recruiting, that's listening to the calibration session. That then, after the fact, after the humans go and make the decision, call it stack ranking for this purpose, but obviously only Microsoft does that. But whatever we do, we give out ratings. Then, we kind of align on that thing, and before the final check from a human, we go to the AI and we say, hey, here's what we came up with. Is this congruent with what you heard in the meeting? What do you think about that idea? Because that feels to me like a great application to help improve decisions and judgment specifically.
So I still think it goes back to what we've been talking about in terms of what do you want, what's your philosophy around how you leverage all these tools, right? I think you have to make a conscious effort not to have things creep in too much so that you're relinquishing responsibility. So I think that, yes, the tools could provide some type of analysis, but I think you have to have a philosophy around, we're not going to use that though. We're not going to leverage that. We're not going to even attempt to do it because this has to be a human process. So I really think that the company has to make a conscious decision about how it approaches these types of applications to not see this creep. Because I really want to preserve, and I'm using that very intentionally, is that I want to preserve a group of activities that is very human and very connected, and I'm going to push back on creep. Yeah.
That's that's a very interesting, and I would even say contrarian take, because everyone else is just like trying to bring it into everything. And I think another thing of what you're saying is like we are like I use ChatGPT all day long. Now I think everybody is. And I'm outsourcing a lot of my thinking to ChatGPT. And what I'm hearing you say is like, nope, timeout. Like we've saved your brain from all this bullshit. Now you need to go spend that brain power on the most important thing, which is the human activities.
Exactly.
I actually really like that take, Kelly. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah. So if we're good with this, I'd love to pivot a little bit, Arnnon. I can't get over some of these companies you've been a part of, and I mean, early Google, Tesla, now Snowflake. I mean, you've got some opinionated people in the leadership seat across the board there, and you're so calm and very calming presence. Like, how did you work with those folks for 5 years here, 8 years with Tesla? Like, how did you influence them? How did you survive is probably not the right word, but you know what I mean? Like, how did that marathon look for you?
Well, it kind of goes back a little bit to what I mentioned earlier, and maybe I'll kind of rephrase it a little bit, is that it was super important that I created a highly functional, highly talented people team. I relied on data in terms of a backbone so I could use data as a common language across the company. And I am just thrilled that I work for a company that I can do data and AI together. It's like a candy store for me, right? Because I love doing this. But when you work for, data usually provides a really good foundation. So when I went and tried to influence and drive decisions, and I do this today, I'll have the data in front of me. I said, this is the data, this is what I think it's saying to us. So you can have a really thoughtful conversation around the interpretation of the data, the insights, and then you can make a really great decision for the company. So for me, from Google to Tesla to Snowflake, it really is about creating a backbone of analytics, of a high-functioning organization, so that when I go into these conversations, I go with authority and I go with really good information so we can make insightful business decisions. And I'm adding value to the organization, the team's adding value. So as long as I've maintained that and pushed it, and I've been self-reflective and built really incredible teams, it usually creates an environment where I can influence and really create a great relationship with all the senior leaders in the company.
Yeah, love that. The backbone, the backstop, it gives you like an armor of, confidence. I guess I always try to think of the audience. What do your teams look like? When you go into organizations, what do you look for first? How do you assess? Who do you hire first? What are your to survive, I'm going to bring in this oxygen tank to be able to create that. How does it look, Arnnon?
Well, I assess each organization I'm in, and I make sure that we're doing what we deliver, what we say we're going to deliver, and we set up really good, audacious goals for the organization. And I need this portfolio of people within the organization. So I do need folks who have traditional HR work and traditional people work. I do tap into areas that folks have been consultants in the past and they think a little bit differently. And then I bring people who are sometimes outside of the people environment. Maybe they could be a data scientist or a statistician or someone who can help, or economist, someone who can help really elevate the data side of the business. So you put all that together. You put kind of this great HR team that has deep subject matter expertise, You have consultants, kind of the mindset maybe that work for a consultant firm early in their career to create kind of the strategy and thinking about far-reaching ideas. And then you have outside of the industry bring them in to basically amplify different ideas and innovation. You bring them all together and you have this winning combination. So I think about that as a framework, and then I toggle depending on what exists and what the business needs from both a tactical and strategic perspective. But you make sure that your team has a wide breadth of capability so that you can deliver a range of products and services and initiatives to the organization.
Yeah. On the data side, you mentioned, right, that's kind of your, kryptonite taken in to these roles. What is one or two titles on that correlate to that ability to have that kryptonite that you want on your team?
I have been thinking about, in this innovative way, I have been thinking about a director of AI employee experience. I have been thinking about something of that effect where we can leverage the tools and create really customized capability for the organization so it meets people where they're at. So how can we incorporate that and actually orient the job to something different, to something that meets the innovative way that we're thinking about, right? So there is a way that all these job roles are going to have an element of data analytics in it, have an element, which I did in the past, element of AI in it, and some of the titles are going to start to evolve. I mean, that's just how it's going to work. And then, important piece of this is around mindset, right? I really look for people who are curious, who want to try things and experiment and say, like, I've done this for 20 years in this way, but I'm willing to try something different. I'm willing to take all this knowledge and apply it to something more innovative or evolve it. So I really appreciate HR folks, people folks, who have this innate sense of curiosity, this mindset of experimentation that they say, we can just try something different. Let's just try. Let's just apply this and see what happens. And that makes for a great team as well.
One of the things you mentioned earlier that I wrote down is that you guys are really moving fast and rolling out experiments in the span of a couple days. I think one of the secrets to success right now are these really short feedback loops and just like spinning together very quick trials, like getting things in people's hands, getting them to tinker with it and getting it back. You're seeing this a lot right now in product. The analog in product right now is no longer are we like, if you want to talk about a feature, like no longer are we having a discussion about it, like go into Lovable or go into Replit, spin the thing up, let people toy around with it, because there's something around like the actual, I feel it and I can see where it's going, even though it's imperfect, as opposed to words. Are you guys doing that? Like, how does that work internally?
The whole company believes in piloting projects. Like you build something, it's not perfect, right? Perfect is the enemy of good sometimes. You just want to kind of get things out there to get good feedback. So we do a lot of pilots. Like we will develop something really fast, but we'll maybe test it with a group that's willing to play with the tool. But it's fast iteration, and their responsibility is to play with it, do use cases, give us quick feedback. Like you said, really good product teams do the exact same thing, right? And so we're no different because we're creating employee experience products and initiatives out there. We're creating capabilities for the organization. So we do pilot a lot of our work to get that initial feedback and then get it out there. But we're not afraid to say, it's not quite working. Let's reiterate. Let's change something. Let's pivot. It's all part of it. You just want to make sure that it works for the people and creates a really great employee experience for everyone at the end of the cycle.
Yeah, 100%. Arnnon, this is a blast, man. Where can people find you?
Well, I'm here in the office, so I enjoy my time in Menlo Park and all around the world. And I'm on LinkedIn, and I don't have all the other social media components yet. But LinkedIn, if you want to link in with me, you can find me pretty easy. I'm pretty much the only Arnnon Geshuri online. So
not that you want hundreds of people to flock to the office,
right?
Come see you, but yes.
Right. But check me out on
Security
LinkedIn.
might have a problem with that.
I love their office. I've been a couple times. Thank you, Arnnon. This was great. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the time, and thank you very much for having me.
HR Heretics is a podcast from Turpentine, the network behind Econ 102, Moment of Zen, and Turpentine VC. Subscribe, 5 stars, share it on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, all the things.